for 1 week.
High five.
We made it out of Texas.
Barely.
But I think we have to talk about the last week.
I don't want to.
Maybe we should start with what we had to do 2 days before we left. So 2 days before departure, the kitten found her way underneath the stairs into all of the wires in the pass-through of the fifth wheel. Had to disassemble that.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Get her out, and then somehow prevent her from getting back into
I had a plan. However, Piper, our kitten, decided she had other plans that day.
She wanted to get to her dad because he was outside and she could hear him in the pass-through.
Well, she got to me. She got there before I did.
And then she got to you in another way. A couple hours later, we were good. And actually, I think we're fixed now, right?
We're good to go.
We're good to go.
Good to go.
And
Armored
then departure day.
Yep.
Because Emmy doesn't travel very well. She needed medication, which we do every time before we travel. So I gave her medicine, and normally she runs underneath the bed. Not today, not this time. Underneath the chairs. Should probably say Emmy is a 14-pound cat and isn't very small. And she was dead to the world on medication. So yes, the chairs had to get disassembled.
Oh yeah. No, just the limp, like a toddler, not wanting to go anywhere. Just the heaviest it could possibly be. I was sent out of the trailer though, because I was just making it worse.
At least you realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. What?
Your bobsled down the stairs. That's the next thing. After we got the cat out, after we put the chairs back together, then my wife decides to be a toddler herself and go on a slide down the stairs that aren't meant for that.
I didn't decide to do that. It was an absolute accident. However, I did. I think I hit every single stair with my butt all the way down.
But to her credit, by the time I saw her, I was busy doing something else, getting the truck ready or whatnot. And by the time I looked in the side mirror, she was upright again with the litter box in her hand. So,
I was gonna say, let's
job.
discuss the fact that I didn't spill anything out of the litter box. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
None of it fell on me.
So this is day one, people.
We haven't even pulled out of the park yet.
Day one.
I feel like there was more that day.
Oh, there was more. So we left Corpus Christi. A little windy, whatever, you know. If you've been around that area, you know Corpus Christi is going to have its wind. I think our next major hurdle was the GPS and where the GPS wanted to take us and where we wanted to go. Now, normally we love the Riverwalk in San Antonio.
Oh,
it is
right.
Very, very nice place to go, eat, hang out, walk, take the boat rides, whatever you want to do. However, it is not just a tour for a 36-foot RV to go run around downtown San Antonio with your fifth wheel. It's not advised. So, I mean...
Oh, that's right.
I couldn't understand why the GPS, I'll call her she was taking us off the interstate to hook up to another interstate via San Antonio downtown.
Can we clarify my name is not GPS?
No, sure. She's not GPS.
I'm the navigator, but I'm not the GPS. But all I can think of is we had her set on shortest versus fastest.
Yeah.
And so literally, instead of taking us up to the interchange, she saw a quick zip over through the Riverwalk.
Yeah, quick zip.
Yeah. That's right. I knew there was something else.
And back on the interstate.
To Fredericksburg.
To Fredericksburg. Which I think
To drink a lot of wine for the next couple days.
yes.
And beer.
Yes.
Yeah, Fredericksburg was good. It was a nice day.
Fredericksburg was absolutely amazing.
We got to spend time with Colleen and Will before we left.
Yep. I got to spend time at the Pacific War Museum. So I'm retired military, and I was active duty Air Force. So a lot of things there hit home with me, you know, like the Doolittle raid, which is very significant of where I was stationed at. So it was just really neat to have a connection with, you know, those in the past that have come before us.
From Fredericksburg, I feel like
Abilene.
It's been months.
Yeah, it's only been like 3 days.
I know.
It's been like 3 days.
Fredericksburg to Abilene, Dias, where we were going to stay one night.
Dias Air Force Base. Yep, it was just a stopping point for the night, just to, because I mean, we're full time and we don't need to be on the road all the time. We don't need to get to point A to point B to not waste time. So we're just kind of enjoying the journey. And if the journey says we should probably take an extra day or two here, that's what we're going to do. So our journey after Fredericksburg brought us to Dias Air Force Base.
Yep, we were just gonna stop, stay for the night, because we've tried to keep our drive days short in the very beginning, while we're getting ourselves and the cats accustomed to traveling. So we planned out about 175 miles a day. Couple of short trips, but as we were getting ready to, well, I guess as we were getting closer to Abilene, right, is when the wind picked up.
Well, we knew the wind was going to pick up once we got to Abilene, but we just didn't, you know, we were taking it day by day. And, you know, even though we've been RVing for over, I think over a decade now, you know, things are, you know, by far, like we're saying, this has been the worst, not the worst week, but the toughest week, I think. And we're not beginners at RVing by any means. We know what we're doing. However, there's definitely some things that are getting thrown our way that are creating challenges. Me being one of them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a challenge in itself. So, but yeah, we got into Abilene, and you know, we just slept on it for the night, and you know, we were gonna make a decision in the morning, and we have the, you know, weather, you know, 2 different weather apps because we can't agree on a weather app. So, and then we got Windy, and I think we're both on board with the Windy app. And you know, when you're in a truck and a fifth wheel, and you're considered a high profile vehicle, in my opinion. I mean that's subject to controversy and whoever you talk to, but I consider our setup a high profile vehicle, and I like to stay within the safe parameters of operating. You know, I look at wind speed, I look at wind direction, I look at gusts, because not a lot of people talk about gusts. Windy is a very good app because it gives you the gusts through the areas you're going at. So, I mean, you know, if you've been driving for a while, towing for a while, you know that wind direction makes a huge difference, whether you're going into a headwind or you got a tailwind, which is great. But them side winds is what you do not want. And I felt that morning that the side winds from Abilene to Sweetwater, where we're headed, the gusting of 50 to 55 miles an hour was probably too much side wind that I wanted to deal with that day. Like I said, you know, to each their own of what they want to do. But we try to keep it on the safe side. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be over the top in a lot of things I do. But, you know, I think
over the top safety.
Over the top safety, yeah. But 30, 35 mile an hour winds and 50, 55 mile an hour gusts. I mean, you know, in this case, we just chose to stay put in Abilene for another night. And I think it worked out pretty good.
It did. Luckily we didn't have a whole lot of reservations from that point, we only had reservations in Lubbock, which I was able to bump back. And then we had a reservation in Colorado Springs that I was able to bump back. And after that, we have no reservations.
Yeah, and if you're out there on the road, I would, a suggestion I would make is never base your decision on a reservation you have, because a reservation you have somewhere is not as important as your life and your equipment and the other people out on the road that it may affect. At least you're safe and your equipment's intact.
Yep. So we
So
stayed
we
in Abilene
2 nights.
2 nights, and then
That brings us to what, Wednesday?
yeah.
So we left Friday the 18th.
I'm still on, I don't know what day of the week it is. However, yes, Wednesday morning, we were getting ready to pull out of Abilene to head to Lubbock.
Everything's wrapped up, hooked up, truck, trailer, wife, cats ready to go. Went and washed my hands, used the restroom, come back, and I noticed water dripping out of the back side of the trailer. And I'm like, that is not a low point drain. I know where my low point drains are in the trailer. There's nothing I could do about it there. So we pressed on to Lubbock. And I knew the whole trip. And that's probably nothing anybody wants to do, is get going on a travel day just knowing there's a problem. Once you stop, then you're going to have to deal with it. I mean, that does not make a travel day fun at all. And then maybe get on the phone to, like Trish did, a couple of mobile tech RV things to, just pre-diagnose it as much as we could and see what any thoughts are from anybody else out there. So, which we got some ideas, and that's good. I mean, that's what this is all about, is networking with each other and, talking with people out there and seeing what's going on.
And then we pulled into Lubbock RV Park, which is a nice stopover point. But we knew we needed to get underneath and figure out what was going on. And it was about 50 degrees and
wouldn't you know it,
super windy.
Yep. We left Abilene and it was, the wind had died down, and we just, got up there, and when we were pulling on, not even when we were pulling into Lubbock, the south side, when we were getting to the north side, getting closer to RV Park, man, the wind just picked right back up.
But that's why we left Abilene early, is because we knew it was going to get windy, and we wanted to get to Lubbock before it got windy.
Right.
So the wind didn't surprise us. It was just unfortunate that we didn't have a window of time to work on things before it got bad.
We couldn't get any mobile techs come out that night. We got some people on the phone and got some ideas and whatnot. And in the meanwhile, I got down there, started searching everywhere, from the pass-through, removing the wall behind the Nautilus system. I'm starting to isolate the problem at this point, is just removing items off the list. Kind of at a high importance to me, because I don't want that pass-through flooding and getting everything. So if something's going on there, I want to immediately address it. So everything was good there in the front end. So I started working my way back. And I know, everybody should learn their RV and kind of where their systems are at and where their tanks are located. So in this case, on this one, the leak's coming directly under the freshwater tank. You'd say, cool. Problem is we don't use that freshwater tank. We
Not
haven't
yet.
used it. Not yet. We will, but we haven't used it since we got it. However, when you pull the handle on the freshwater dump, gallons of water come out of it still. So, like I said, I'm learning. Those of you, me just saying that are probably like, oh, you got a bad check valve or something like that. I got it. Cool. These are things that I'm still learning about it too. I worked 21 years on aircraft, and then I worked another 5 years on boats. So, RVs are a new system to me to learn from tip to tail. So I'm getting there. I know this is a long story, and at the end of it, there's still no fix. So I'll let you know that right now, is that we're troubleshooting while we're going down the road. And it doesn't mean like, here, hold the wheel, while I jump back there and look around. No, we're doing a couple of things that techs and people that we're talking to are kind of saying to do, and we're trying to isolate a problem and see if we can diagnose this. That way, once we get it into a bigger city and we can get more people in on it, then we can figure out what's going on with it.
But if this has happened to you, please leave a comment down below and help us out. We think we have it isolated. We think we have 2 separate issues, but we're not positive. Still working on it. As for right now, it is hopefully not going to get any worse because of the temporary fixes that have been done.
Right.
However, during that drive day from Abilene to Lubbock was also the day that the kitten decided she didn't want to travel very well.
Oh, was that day?
That was that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just one of those days where you get up and you get in the truck and you just know it's not going to be a good day. Please just let us get there. Yes, so that was the day Piper wanted to meow and roam all over the truck.
Which, if you have a Siamese, you know that's what they're going to do. They're going to talk. They're going to tell you how they feel constantly.
Yeah.
And they're going to, they're going to let you know how they feel that day.
Not a great day, but
no. And, I think my face still hurts from laying under that trailer because the wind was just a whipping. And then, it wasn't gravel. It wasn't, I had a concrete pad. It was nothing wrong with the RV park. Some pads just deteriorate over time. And, I have a creeper that I carry with me, but this creeper was just not having it under this whole cracked pad and whatnot. And around it is that red sand. So all that's happened to me all afternoon is getting stuck in cracks with the creeper, and then the sand blowing in my face while I'm trying to figure things out. But it is what it is. So you want a full-time RV. So come talk to me. Come talk to plenty of us out there that are probably, can relate to this.
So we stayed in Lubbock our 2 days, which has put us, I don't want to say a day behind schedule, but a day behind where we thought we were going to be. So we left Lubbock today, and we are, after 1 week, finally out of Texas. So we are in New Mexico tonight.
10 miles out of Texas, but we're out of Texas.
It just feels like if you have a 5-day drive to get to where you're going, 7 of it will be in Texas. It's just such a big state and especially when you are so far south in Texas, to get out of it.
Going out the top. We're just going to be like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it all.
But today was a nice travel day. I mean, I feel like we slept in. We got up leisurely. We weren't in a rush. Did give the cats medicine this morning just because everybody needed a good travel day.
I think she took a little too.
I probably could have.
It's just a good drive day. I mean, if you guys ever been in Texas around Lubbock, Amarillo, I-27, I love that stretch because it's open. That's what I think of Texas if somebody brings that up. I think I-27 between Lubbock and Amarillo, because I love that stretch. I know it could be a little bumpy, but it's just clear, wide open, and a good place to practice for somebody. Later on down the road, maybe she might want to tow once in a while and give me a day off the road. But we'll see. More to come on that too.
Yeah. But so we're using the TSD travel card the TSD fuel card as we're traveling, which I think in the course of the week has probably saved us about $20, and $20 is $20. But so we pulled into a Love's to fill up in Dalhart.
Yes.
Yes. Pulled right up next to another Solitude being towed by a Ram 3500 dually, which is what we've got. So great conversation with fellow Solitude owners.
We love and respect the truck drivers out there, and we will get right out of your way whenever you need to. So, but yeah, great conversation. And, you know, you pull over, you know, hey, I like your choice or whatever. And he's like, oh, great. And then they're like, oh, what you got? And you're like, you know, 310 or whatever. And I was like, well, I already know what you have. I said, my wife pointed that thing out as soon as we pulled in behind you. So she's very versed on what she wants in a floor plan.
Very much so. Yeah, so today was a decent travel day other than the slight GPS snafu today, which, so now I know how to overcome the GPS. I will have my good old atlas in my hand, because to me that's the only way to go. The GPS is great about telling you what lane to be in, but I need a paper map in my hand while we're traveling. Just goes back to my days of doing triptychs at AAA. I like a paper map.
Yeah, I mean, it may seem like we're dogging on Texas a little bit. I mean, we've been Texas residents for 2 years, so I think we can give it a little bit of crap.
Well, Texas is the only state we've driven through so far.
That's right. But Texas roadway system is, you know, absolutely, you know, amazing for the most part. I mean, you could do a couple more north-south interstates, wouldn't be a bad idea. But I mean, if you need to get somewhere, there's all kinds of roads, and you know, they could be worse condition, but you know.
Well, and it really wasn't even a matter of the road condition. It was a matter of our GPS. We were headed north and we needed to cut west to meet up with another road headed north. Our GPS cut us over early on an FM road in Texas, which are the old farm to market roads in Texas, instead of taking us a little farther north so we could take a US highway over. That's it. So from this point on, when I have my atlas in my hand, I can take a look at that and say, okay, no, we're going to keep going to hit a better road for us.
No problem. Just 21 miles and that, you know, but no big deal. It's over. She cleaned up whatever bounced around in here, so at least
it really wasn't anything too bad. Couple pillows, couple shoes, but we really try to pack up pretty decent because they're bouncing down the road at 65 miles an hour. You never know when you're gonna have to slam on the brakes. Stuff's gonna move around, so
I pride myself on not using brakes. I hate using brakes. I like my engine brake.
Well, okay, but you never know what's going to happen on the road in front of you.
You never know what's going to jump on in front of you. Never. Or stop immediately in front of you. Or merge into the side of you.
So, you know, it could have been a completely uneventful week, and it could have went perfect.
I'll take it.
But you know what? You don't learn and get better from that.
Oh, it hasn't taken the windshield yet, but you got a pretty good rock chip today. That's right. You know, but
every time I think we're done,
pretty measly. I shouldn't even brought it up for whatever. You know, when those things pop and hit your windshield, though, it'll jerk you a little bit, right in your eye line.
So that's our first full week.
Yeah, today is full week number 1. Man, and the start of the second week, potentially we have a chance to go into 2 states in the second week and not just be in one the whole time.
Yeah. Well, we'll be in New Mexico and then in Colorado.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't remember if we were going to be out of Colorado by the end of next week, but I don't think we are.
No. The plan is to stay in Colorado 7 nights. To see your dad and just kind of be in one place for a little while, which, I mean,
this water leak.
We were stationary for a while before we left, but I think once you hit the road and get going, it's a little bit different. You're kind of figuring things out, and now it's like, okay, now I feel like I have time to clean, to really clean, mop, dust, strip all the bedding, you know, do all the things that I can't do on one, maybe 2 night stops, or that I don't want to do.
That's
on
really
2
not
night
worth
stops.
it on a 1-2 night stop. I mean, you just, you know, get to where you're going, or but at your own pace. You know, if we need to stop an extra day. I mean, if we wake up tomorrow here in Clayton, New Mexico, and something doesn't look right, we ain't gonna go nowhere. I mean, that's just how it is. We don't have a date till May, so.
So what would you say your 2 biggest lessons have been over the week?
2 biggest lessons. Stay out of San Antonio, downtown, with an RV.
And?
Just slow down. You know, I love to drive. You know, I've always loved to drive. But always my driving has involved getting to that destination. So as little as vacation time is lost. But I love to drive, so the flying really never been an option. And now that we're just doing this to enjoy the experience, I just needed to remember that. Try to remind myself of that every day. I don't know.
Well, I think
You
those are 2 pretty good ones. Stay out of downtown
Nah,
San Antonio with
I'll
an
come
RV.
up with another one. Yeah, downtown in San Antonio is no place for an RV. Just, you know, the trucks do it, but you know, they get paid big bucks to maneuver those things and have lots of training.
Well,
So,
yeah.
But I did not a scratch, you know, except to my voice from having a little temper tantrum about it.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I think you hit it on the head is slow down. But it's going to take us a little bit of time to get into that groove. So it is all about slowing down, but we're coming out of working full-time jobs and having a lot of responsibilities to this of having very little responsibility, really, and just being able to enjoy. And so it's going to take a little bit of time to get there. So slow down for sure. And then I think another big lesson is patience with each other. But honestly, I have to say that I feel like we've done really well at that this week.
But everybody, just so you know, we haven't made a checklist yet, so that's our bad. I think if we have a checklist, it'll ease that patience. Because are you talking about when we're getting somewhere and setting up?
No, I'm actually talking about the fact that I feel like even when we were just going on a weekend trip with the RV, you feel the rush, you feel the pull of, okay, we've got to get there, we've got to do this, we've got to get it done so we can get on the road. And so that tends to, you worry, is everything getting done? And you're kind of tripping over each other, and then, you know, you bicker a little bit. But I honestly feel like we've done really well this whole week with, we haven't really bickered about that stuff. And when something big has happened, we haven't argued about it.
Well, it's because you listen now. Just kidding. It's more the other way around, that I just listen now. I mean, she's the boss. Let's not make no mistake about it. She may not tow the thing, but she's hired the guy to do it. She's the boss. So, I mean,
I'm the navigator.
She's the navigator, but she's the boss. She really calls the shots, which I'm okay with, because I just like to drive. You know? Just tell me where to point it, and we'll go.
Which is what I've been doing.
When in Rome.
Yep. So what's been your favorite part about the week? What was the best part of the week, or the highlight of the week?
Highlight of the week for me?
Yeah.
Is the road. Whether it, windy conditions or things aren't going right, I love the sound of being on the road. Just going down and seeing things and just rolling. I like to roll. That's that's my happy place. is when I'm on the road. And you?
I think for me it was.
You can't say nothing that's gonna make me look bad. You're like, oh, spending time with you.
Stop. No, honestly, I think for me it was in Fredericksburg, getting ready to leave. I think.
Oh man, I'd take my back. I already talked about it. Pacific War Museum. Whatever. Yeah. So other than the road,
No take backsies.
the road is always a given with me. The Pacific War Museum was it for me. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. You're up.
Okay. No, I think for me it was the fact of we were getting ready to leave Fredericksburg. Or not, I'm sorry, it wasn't the day we were leaving, it was the day before we were leaving. Usually when we're on a trip, the day before we leave I start getting sad because the trip is over. But the day before I didn't have that, and I had the realization of this is life. So yeah, we're leaving here, but we're going to the next one.
Yep.
So it's almost I don't want to say perpetual vacation because Lord knows it's not all a vacation, but it was the next experience. It's the next place. So
the next water leak.
They're gonna come. We
the next
know
weather condition.
We know the problems are gonna come. It's just how do we handle them? What do we learn from them? And how can we minimize it to the extent possible?
Yeah. All right. So.
On to week 2.
Week 2.
Yep.
Yep. We'll see what happens there. The scenery is going to change drastically.
Yeah, we
tomorrow.
saw snow. I haven't seen snow in almost
2 years.
2.5 years.
Not since she drugged me down to Corpus Christi, Texas from
How did
Washington
I drag
State.
you when you were driving?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, that'll be another story for another time, but I think we could wrap week 1 up, don't you think?
I think so. On to week 2.
On to week 2.
But we're always gonna an ounce of maintenance is worth a pound of
What?
I don't know. I'll edit that out.
Alright. So, I guess, how do you want to end it? Do you have like some little cool "when in Rome"
I don't.
catchphrase? I guess we'll need to come up with one. A lot of the people we have, they got pretty cool things, and hopefully we come up with something, and maybe with suggestions from the 2 people that watch this. Your
Me
mom
and you?
Yeah, we'll watch it just to see if anything's coming, but we'll see what week 2 brings, and we'll keep you updated on things we talked about already tonight. So
On the comedic relief of week 2.
yeah.